swagger on point when I step in. Signs in the air for the gang that you're repping. Don't get brave when I'm stepping in the rave. If you show man love, everything's okay. So looking for a lively rave to have fun in. If there ain't girls in the place, we ain't coming. Middle finger up to the Jake, stepping in with the gang. Please tell the police they can't come in. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. A sign if you're down for the gang.
Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. We be busting the clubs, cause you know that we can. Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. Still rocking the show, still feeling the flow.
Welcome back, Juventini. My name is Daniel Negro, and this is the Juventinita Back to Black and White podcast, episode number 9. And today we're going to be previewing the Bologna-Juventus game. And it's going to be interesting because this is going to be a key piece into how our season essentially restarts. Obviously, this is going to be the first game back for us. As I'm speaking right now, there's been 2 games that have been played already that were actually pretty interesting. Obviously, Hellas Verona beat Cagliari 2-1, and Torino and Parma tied 1-1. So, yeah, it's going to be, we're all getting restarted. There's going to be a lot of games. But, yeah, no, technically speaking, I was able to finally pull someone out of the hat. There's kind of been a little bit of mix-up of schedule, so this is going to be a little bit early. So if the formation that I talk about is a little bit different, don't hold me to it. It's no one's really have their previews done yet or announced their lineup. So. But without further, or just before we get started, actually, if you guys could, you guys have been supporting like crazy. I really appreciate it. The views are racking up, the subs are racking up. But yeah, if you could always smash the subscribe, drop a like on the video, leave me a comment, guys. Leave me a question, whatever you guys want to talk about or hear us speak about as Juve fans is always cool. And click the bell for notification. That'll update you when the next video is out. Also, there's iTunes, Spotify, Podbean. Those are the main platforms that I'm going to be using. And yeah, it's going to be a busy summer, so keep an eye. They'll be dropped on there. But then again, without further ado, I have another great Juventino on the podcast, who's I think very well known, we'll say, in a certain Discord group. As well as the WhatsApp group. So, Mohamed, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we are both obviously in the Great White North. Obviously, you're a couple hours away in Montreal, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Awesome. I know there's a lot of Juventini out of there. There's a lot of big Italian community, obviously, in Montreal as well. And you know. Obviously, you have obviously been on a special, I would say, video series with Bognani, and but obviously you haven't been on a podcast. So, as is the culture or the custom, I would say, we'd like to know how you became a Juve fan.
Sure, it's a bit of a sad story, but I like to tell it. So I grew up, I'm Egyptian, and I grew up in Saudi Arabia. I was born there. I grew up there. I went to French school there, and I had a lot of friends from everywhere. And back in the 90s, I didn't have a club. I was just watching, like everyone over there. And then I met a friend who was in love with Del Piero. He was Malian. And we would watch the games together on Canal Plus, in French and all that. And it was really great. Del Piero and Zidane. I started liking the team, and I was becoming more and more interested.
Right.
Obviously, we were playing video games as well and all that, so it was really fun.
Yeah.
Sadly, that was in 1998. In 2001, he passed away.
Oh,
So
that's
that
sad to hear.
yeah, he had a heart issue, so it was uh, it was really tough for me. But then that's it. Like from that day, Juventus became even much more because it was like our connection, right? Our
Yeah,
special.
exactly. You held it close to your heart because, he introduced you, so,
Yeah,
special bond, right? Even though unfortunately he's gone, but
yeah,
now you live on, right? And
yeah, yeah.
to,
And ever since I've been watching Juventus, I love Juventus. I went to Torino once. That was a dream. My favorite player is Del Piero, like without any doubt. Not because he's talented only, but as a person, he's amazing. He never said anything wrong. Everyone loves him, even like other players from other
right.
teams. He's very well respected. He's great. For me, he's still the best player though.
Oh, I agree 100%. Yeah, there's a lot of people a lot of people are in this generation of growing up around Del Piero, right? Like obviously there's everybody's at a different age, right? But
Yeah,
at least I could say I'm definitely part of that Del Piero generation. And yeah, just it's crazy what he was able to do with obviously his size, and you know it was a pretty physical game. And Serie A defenders are no slouches. It's not like La Liga or Premier League. These are top defenders, and
yeah.
they're willing to make some pretty harsh tackles. And
Uh,
unfortunately, he had his injury, which I think
mhm.
dampered his career in a little bit, because the medical side wasn't necessarily there yet in terms of knee injuries, right?
Yeah,
Nowadays, I hear a lot of these players are recovering faster, stronger, um, less time off the field, and like it's crazy some of the things that the medical community's been able to do with sports injuries.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's unfortunate that Del Piero, when he got hurt, it was like right before, I guess, all of these kind of things came out. So, you
Yeah,
know, everyone always says what could have been, right? What
yeah.
could have been. And but anyways, let's get into Juve. I know it's not as happy or as beautiful as it was in Del Piero's time
Yeah.
after obviously a draw to Milan that gave us the chance to play in the Coppa Italia final, and then obviously a loss in PKs against Napoli.
Yeah.
I've had a couple podcasts now, and it seems like everyone's kind of been given their opinion on how they see the team and what's going wrong. What do you think, Mohamed? Even if you want to get into tactically or
Sure.
whatever, just the business side, whatever you feel like discussing. Let's hear what you got. What your opinion is on that.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, what I'm gonna tell you right away, what's bothering me a lot is linking up front. This
Right.
is killing me. I watched the Parma Torino game today,
Yeah.
and I was jealous of Parma. Like they were able, Gervinho was able to get into the box and give a nice pass to Pushka, who scored. I'm like, why can't we just do something
Yeah.
like that? Like it's.
Exactly.
I'm surprised. Like, and we were watching those games like late '90s, early 2000s. We were able to do that, do nice link ups,
Yeah.
scoring nice goals and all that. Right now, there's nothing. Like I watched the Milan game, I watched the Napoli game. It's like it's dead up front. Dybala, Douglas Costa, Cristiano Ronaldo, each is playing on his own. Uh, I don't see like this famous Sarri ball where you do
Right.
like quick passes and those triangles and try to
Yep.
open up. There's nothing. I'm really worried about that. Uh, I'm more
Yeah.
worried about that than actually losing the final. Because like at the end it was 50-50, right? I
Yeah,
mean, we
exactly.
could have won, and it wouldn't have changed anything.
No.
The problem is still there.
Yeah, we would have just been lucky enough to get to score, and they didn't get to score. And I mean, that's what Sarri said. That's kind of. I didn't think Napoli played that great either, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's definitely and something that we kind of were kicking ourselves that we didn't talk about in this last podcast with Graham and Roman. Almost a blueprint. It seems like now teams are, they've been finding out how to essentially just sit back, clog up the defensive half
Yep.
or the box area, and really then it looks like we really have to pull something out of our ass to some miracle to basically score, and
Yep.
it doesn't look good because we still have this run. I mean, now it's obviously fine, whatever. We lose the Coppa Italia, we still have some other objectives, right? And we're still in first place. That doesn't change anything losing that cup. But
Yep.
yeah, so how are you liking this 4-3-3? Do you think it's dead? Do you think it just we have to do this because the players we have? Obviously, again, another big thing in the news is now that all these guys, obviously Khedira is out for the season, and it doesn't look like Sandro's going to be back for about, some people are saying 3 weeks, some people are saying 45 days, some people are saying 20 days. So I will have to wait and see, right, to make when he comes back, if he heals or whatever the case may be. That's something to look forward to. But as of right now, 4-3-3 is, it doesn't seem to be doing anything for us, right?
No, and but okay. I think if it was Allegri, he would have gone back to 3-5-2.
So I
And
talked about that. So that's a
yeah,
good point. We definitely brought it up, and Roman doesn't think it's possible. So if you do think it's possible, please let me know. That's going to be a good take.
I
So,
don't think Sarri will do it. He's very stubborn with his
oh
tactics.
yeah,
I don't think he will do it. Let's hope he's gonna be more flexible. But looking at it, 4-3-3 or 4-3-1-2, he's still playing the same style. He's still playing the same tactics. Uh, it's not gonna change anything.
yeah.
I don't think. I think he's gonna put the Chile. That's the
That's
obvious.
gonna be that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Look
45
forward
days
to
for the
it. Look
Chile.
forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, see,
So
I'm gonna have to wait because now I'm in a different work schedule, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to watch the game live, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully that goes well.
no, yeah, I know it's tough, but the problem again is midfield. I know everyone talked about it. Everyone mentioned it many times. It's a common knowledge, but no one is providing anything from the midfield. There is no. This is how bad it is. The only person, the only player that's able to go in the box from the midfield is Khedira.
Yeah,
So that's really bad. If this is the only player who's smart enough to know how to get into the box and find spaces, whereas when we had Pogba and Vidal, these guys they were killing it and they were
yeah,
scoring right and left.
yeah,
Here nothing. They're all passive. Matuidi, he's doing his best, but he's just a warrior that like he works
yeah,
hard, he runs, he comes back, but he's not technically gifted.
yeah,
uh, and then we only have Bentancur, who's really good, but
yeah.
for me he's still very young too. We can't rely on him, only on him. And it's not something new. I mean, we've had that problem for like 2-3 years.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because, like you said, the formations you can only change so much.
Yeah.
I mean, if let's say we did go 3-5-2, I think that is. But then another question is more about reinforcements. I think that's what Roman was really touching about with that formation is really you only have who you're gonna put. You're gonna play obviously Bonucci, Delict, and you'd have to play Rugani as of right now. Obviously, Demiral is something that we're hoping can come back. Chiellini, something we're hoping he can come back. But even Chiellini, I'm hearing some people talk about July 4th against Torino.
Right.
So that's still days away, right? Hopefully sooner than later. But yeah, and then a lot of people now are talking about Higuain as being. I know some people were saying. Obviously, there were some media sources saying that he was obviously going to be offloaded, but now because of the injuries and because of our situation, he's going to be obviously back in the project in a key. So I'm guessing they're looking to play him as the number 9 role. Is that kind of the thought,
Yeah.
Mohamed?
Yeah, he's our only number 9. And I think
Literally.
yeah, exactly. And a lot of people mentioned it. We don't have any other number 9s, and he's not in shape. He's injured. It's gonna take some time for him to get into like match fitness. So this is a huge problem too.
Yeah, and I heard I believe Tuttosport was saying that he could be back for Bologna. So I don't know if that's a rush job or what, but and I mean it is Tuttosport, so
Yeah.
let's take that with a grain of salt. But
Well,
yeah,
what I read today is that Chiellini and Higuain were training on a personalized
schedule.
yeah, because they're still not fit. So I really doubt it. 2 days before the game,
Yeah,
it's happening.
yeah, and I think it's more you lose more in terms of trying to rush them back. Like even I guess Ramsey, I guess, is now available, or it
Right.
seems like he's now available.
Yes.
Who knows if that's going to be a rush job or not? But we'll find out if he hurts himself again. But yeah, so how do you? Obviously, this is more of a long-term question. But so, are you thinking get to that 3-5-2 kind of style, or how do you see it? Because I know a lot of people, even Al has been talking about this 4-4-2, and I'm like, to me, when I think of a 4-4-2, is what you sit back in when you defend, right?
Yeah.
Or even a 4-5-1 if you really want to clog things up. But I don't really necessarily understand. Is it just essentially just moving into a 4-3-3 in the attacking, or what's kind of the attack on a 4-4-2? What does it differ essentially? Like obviously using wing play, but is it just something you think Sarri can adapt, or not necessarily? That's my only concern, is I don't know how he would necessarily adapt it using, or why it would be any different, right?
And 4-4-2, you depend a lot on the wingers, on the right and left midfielders to provide crosses. We don't have players to receive the crosses. You saw that against Napoli. We saw crosses going right and left above everyone. No one was there.
Reminded me of Allegri.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, but this is not the Sarri ball. What are you guys doing? I mean,
Yeah.
because obviously, like they're Napoli, they knew like what they had to do. They were just sitting in the back, and because we don't have any other solutions, we just tried from the side and just cross it, and maybe by luck an own goal or something would happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Another Koulibaly blunder or something.
Or maybe they get their brains back and know how to make through balls. Like it's just ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
I'm watching the TV, I'm watching the games, and I'm like, okay, distribute the ball. He's open on the left, push him wide. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just like there's nothing up there. Like I'm seeing Alexandro, he's trying to make a run. Ronaldo just stops for like 2 seconds, doesn't know what to do, and then Alexandro obviously stops because he doesn't want to run offside.
Yep.
It's like, and then you'll see it vice versa, like through everyone. Pjanic was standing. It's crazy. I don't know. Like the one thing, obviously, the one big point was the blueprint. Everyone kind of knows what we're doing. The second big thing is there's really nothing that can help us. Like there's no transfers that are coming in that are helping us. We are stuck with this lineup, and management, when they made those decisions at obviously the January window, that's those are key mistakes of obviously not, everyone wants to say blame Sarri, which is fine, but you can give him his blame. But, at the end of the day, he can only do so much with the midfield he has. And that's just not up to standard. Obviously, he's obviously not up to standard. And I think that's another big question, too, is do you think that Sarri is good enough to coach a club like Juventus in general? Because it's looking like he's not. It's just, you can't blame the guy. Like, he's got the skills that he has. He's a stubborn old Italian guy. And just that's how it is, right? Like, he doesn't seem like he's going to change. So that's why I think there's a lot of bad feelings in the air because, we look, like I said, we're stuck in one place. We can't do anything. We can't bring additions in, and we got to play these games out. So anyways, your thoughts, my friend?
Well, let's try and go back a bit and try to analyze each coach that we had since we won the first Scudetto. So first we had Conte, who in terms of motivation, one of the best. Well, it's a two-edged sword. It could be extremely useful or deadly.
Yeah.
And this is where Inter is kind of like on the edge right now because some players, they can't take that much pressure.
Right.
So you need the right mentality, the Juventinita,
exactly.
The Juventus DNA.
Exactly.
The fino alla fine, all that, the fight till the end.
Grinta, yeah.
The Grinta. This is where Conte came with. And obviously, like with Juventus, it just clicked back then.
Plus, when you have players that are not marginally, they're at the kind of fringes of most other teams. Like if you look at a lot of the guys we had the Lichtsteiner, who wasn't necessarily an amazing player, but look how amazing he became, or Paduin, or different players like that,
Yeah, Giaccherini.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it was almost like he was taking players that were kind of on the bubble or, let's say, good players, and he made them great players.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Inter is essentially having problems, is because you have these like top rated players and they're not used. And again, we're in this modern football where you're not necessarily, you think you're bigger. A lot of these guys think they're bigger than the club. And I think that's another thing that's wrong with what's going on at Juve is there's no respect. But anyways, continue on with the Conte era.
Yeah. So Conte, he had his famous tactic of 4-2-4 that he wanted to implement. But then he discovered that, we have three amazing defenders, three amazing midfields. We need to play those at all costs. We had a somewhat weak attack, but we still won the Scudetto, right? Against a very strong Milan. The problem with Conte is that in cups, he's not able to win. And why? Because, and I'm talking more about European cups. He also lost like the Italian cups, but let's focus on the European one. There, you're going to go against like masterminds in tactics.
Right.
That can change the game like that. And if you're not fast enough, you're going to get stuck and you're going to lose the game. And this is where he's not able to do that. He can't change formation during the game. He can't adapt to the game. And obviously, we didn't go far with Conte. I mean, we lost the Europa League. And it was the final was in Torino. So. Anyway.
Well, and I think it was obviously the first year he wouldn't have had Champions League. The second season, obviously, we lost out against Bayern over 2 legs, and they were clearly the better team. I think that one you kind of give them a pass because it was the first year back, and that Bayern team was pretty. You look at the attack, we had Matri and Vucinic, right? So it is tough. You know what I mean? It's not like necessary. I do get what you mean. I mean, when we went into that third year and we get knocked out in the group, I believe it was correct.
Yeah,
that was the famous the Galatasaray game. So which is ridiculous. But anyways, we won't dive into that. But yeah, I do agree. He is definitely a coach that doesn't seem to be that flexible, I would say.
Yeah.
And then you look like, and then obviously he leaves, and we get a guy like Allegri who he has his own. Obviously, you could say he's definitely a lot better at manipulating what we need and being,
Yeah.
I would say, more of not a pawn, but someone who definitely, listens to what the club has, who they're gonna bring, what kind of money we're gonna spend,
Yeah.
and then kind of fits what we have into a lineup, right? Depending on who's injured and whatnot, right? And obviously putting players where necessarily they're not natural position is, but it's definitely playing Chan at center back was, I think, a pretty smart move. Obviously, being what the options we had at the time. But anyways, continue. Go on. Let's hear about Allegri.
No, so Allegri, like you said, Allegri, when he first came, I was very doubtful. I'm like, okay, I don't like that move.
Me
How
too.
to lose Conte and get Allegri? This is insane. But then after, like, the way he went through it is he didn't change a lot at the beginning. He went
Right.
with the same team, same formation, and slowly started changing things, and it was working.
Yep.
And like you said, he was not complaining. He didn't say, I have like a $10 bill and I'm going to an expensive restaurant and all this stuff. All
Yeah.
that drama he didn't do. He's very smart. He's extremely smart. He can read the game and change it. And like one example was the Tottenham game when we played away. First half, it was going 0-0. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
Second half, I think he put Lichtsteiner and Asamoah,
Yep.
and I'm
Exactly.
like, what is he doing? Like, what's happening? And then you see like a completely different Juventus
Yeah.
and Tottenham. They're like, oh, whoa, okay, what's happening here? And that's
Exactly.
it. Like we won 2-0, right?
Yep.
So this is the Allegri part. The problem with Allegri is that he panics.
Yeah.
And this is why we lost 2 finals. He's like, okay, we're playing so well, this, that. Okay, guys, now take it easy. We don't want to concede goals. So
Yeah.
let's pull back. And this is
Then
where you can't win a final with that mentality.
roll the tape.
Exactly. So that's
Yeah.
the problem of Allegri. And the reason why, if Allegri had new ideas or was a bit more motivated, he would have stayed, because Agnelli loves that guy.
Yeah. Seemed like it. Yeah.
But it was the end of the Allegri era. Like you could see it, you could feel it. He was frustrated. It wasn't the same Allegri like who joined. It was done.
No.
Yeah.
It was definitely a different feel after Cardiff, that's for sure. I
Yeah.
think he's just with 2 legs, and even if you look at his Milan career, like obviously against I believe it was Barcelona and a handful of other teams,
Mhm.
he always has this mentality he can't get it right.
Yeah.
He has to he's almost like it's thrown into it's just like a play and see, like he just goes, go ahead, let's see how they really let's find out how they play against us. It's
Yeah.
really strange. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a coach this like notably have this difficulty with 2-leg games,
Yeah.
where it's so night and day, where it's mediocre at best in the first leg
Yep.
and so good in the second leg. Obviously, he's gotten games right. Like you look at the Barcelona game, the what was it? I believe it was 3-0. That game
Yep.
was crazy.
Yeah.
And that tie was crazy, but
Yes.
he doesn't. I mean, and then there are others obviously ties that he's done pretty well, and we obviously got to 2 finals. You have to win some ties to get there.
Yeah. for sure.
But it just seems like towards the end, while he was doing some great things during those 2 legs, I find that it was the stubbornness and the defensive mindedness really killed us in a lot of those, because we got in huge holes, and that was just way too much. Like, no team should be having to come back after losing 3-0 in your at home to one of the best teams of probably the generation, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just way too hard. And I'm surprised, I'm surprised Real Madrid even sat back as much as they did in their home game, and we did come back. And obviously they get the penalty, which is unfortunate, but it was like, I just couldn't believe it. But yeah, no, it was definitely pragmatic approach. Lots of people have been saying it, but I think a lot of people are assuming that Sarri is pragmatic, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think he is at all. So that's just why I don't know why we're painting him with this brush that we know he isn't. We've seen him at other clubs, and we definitely know he isn't pragmatic at all. I know that's what we need now, and I guess a good coach should be pragmatic, obviously in times of need and when you don't have necessarily the right players and stuff like that. But I just don't think that's what we're gonna get. And I know it's kind of like, okay, well then where do we go from here kind of idea, because we still have to play these games, and I guess we'll see how they play out. But how do you see it? Like, how would you, if you were the coach right now, if you were Sarri right now, how do you want us lined up? And then we'll get into what the actual projected formations are for tomorrow. So knowing who's out, knowing who we have at our disposal, excuse me. How would you line up the squad for Monday's game, Mohamed?
Well, now knowing that Khedira's out, knowing that Ramsey's not
100% fit, let's say.
Yeah, not. I don't even think like 60 minutes fit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
It's gonna be the same formation as the Milan game without Sandro.
Yeah.
And well, up front you're gonna have the classic 3.
Yep.
In the middle you're gonna have Matuidi, Pjanic, and Bentancur. And in the back, you're going to have the Chile. You're going to have the Chile. You're going to have the Chile. There's no question about that. The only, I think, question mark is it going to be Cuadrado or Danilo? And that's it.
Yeah. And who would you put there? Who do you think? Did you think Cuadrado did a better job, obviously, when he started? Or did you like it more of when Danilo started that, and then obviously Cuadrado came on a little bit later in that game? But
I would put Cuadrado. I was never a fan of Danilo. I never liked the fact that we signed him. He's very talented.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I didn't like that signing either. I agree.
He never showed his worth. Like he played with big teams, Real, City, and nothing. Like, okay.
Go ahead. Sorry, man. Sorry, I cut you off.
I was just gonna add. Okay, he was great with, I think, Porto with Alexandro from the other side.
Yeah, and then he obviously played with Madrid, right?
Yeah, but that was a while back, and when put into a big game, a big team.
He's not the starter, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's not great. He's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think I would put Danilo there, though. I think he showed promise in that first game, and I kind of want Cuadrado as a burst of speed in the second half, as a winger, not as a right back. I just find we're not getting great use out of our fullbacks. So really, if you put Cuadrado back there, he's having to go that much further. And I think, honestly, if Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't have a great game, I see opportunities to really flip that top upside down. Like, if it's going to be a third game in a row where he doesn't look good, I would have no problem Sarri taking him out, even just to try something like Douglas Costa, Dybala, Cuadrado, or Bernardeschi, or whoever you want to have up in those wing positions, and just let it roll and let it fly. That's kind of where I'm seeing where we're going to be getting our, where this advantage is going to come, or where this positivity is going to come, is basically getting guys on, and then throwing in the likes of Ramsey when the second half rolls around and seeing if he can add something to it. And again, some of the other players we have, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. I believe, let's see what these guys have slated. I know it's a little bit early, so I don't know how accurate these are going to be. I believe they said we're going to play a 4-3-1-2. Again, so let's just go over the injuries. Obviously, Khedira is gone for the season. Alexandro, indefinite amount of time. Giorgio Chiellini with the ACL, some muscle, believe it's more muscle issues. And then Demiral, again, he said he wants to be back in fit training soon, but who knows. Doubtful players, Higuain and Ramsey. Again, still not sure how that's going to go. But and then on the Bologna side, Andreas Olsen has a thigh injury, so he won't be playing. Federico Santander is suspended. Mattia Bani and Jordi Schouten are all suspended. And the one thing about Santander that's good is he gave us a fit the last game we played, and if it wasn't for Buffon in net in the 90th minute, literally he hits the post, the crossbar, and then it bounces back to him and he bicycles it, and Buffon gets a hand to it, puts it over the bar, and essentially saves the win, being obviously a 2-1 win. I believe it was Ronaldo and Pjanic who scored in that game.
That's correct.
And yeah, so I guess we won't have to worry about him. Another big player, though, that is an ex that didn't really get to play for us is Riccardo Rossellini, and wouldn't it be nice to have him, obviously, as another winger and kind of one of those players that could really add to what seems like the wingers that are not necessarily doing much. So I just think we need an injection of talent and some different ideas and guys who are creative, and I don't see that happening. And we have a lot of creative players. That's the weird thing, but
for sure. And Orsolini, I think he has like 7 goals, five assists or something like that. And he's very talented, very young. I really like him. He grew a lot at Bologna.
Yep.
And I was surprised that Juventus just sold him, I think, for what, 15 million?
Yeah, it wasn't much.
And
I think we might have an option on him, I think, no? Or some like option. It's not really in writing, but it's more of a verbal agreement kind of thing. But
yeah, I think like for 25 million, something like that.
I think so, yeah.
But then Sabatini, it was in January or February, he said no, he's actually worth like 70 million. It's true, we had that agreement, but it was verbal, and we would never sell him less than 70 million. Okay, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go talk to Saputo right now and tell him.
Yeah. Yeah, see if you can work something out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They are the owners. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but anyways, just a prediction of the 11 right now. Obviously, Szczesny in goal. Like you said, Mattia De Sciglio, Bonucci, De Ligt, Cuadrado, they're saying. Again, Pjanic, Bentancur, Matuidi. They're for some reason saying Bernardeschi's going to get in there, which I don't really see him being the one in the 4-3-1-2. But, I mean, again, check out tomorrow to see what comes out, and who knows, maybe that'll be a news story. Maybe Sportskeeda knows something we all don't know. But anyways, Cristiano Ronaldo and obviously Dybala up top. I think it's going to be 4-3-3, like you said. Ronaldo in the center probably to start, and then he'll probably move to the left or something. It doesn't seem like he's very happy. From what different reports are coming out, saying that he's being told to play central and he doesn't feel that he belongs in that position.
I can
Obviously,
convince him.
oh, go ahead.
Do you want to play central or do you want to play on the wing with the Shilio?
Yeah,
You
that's
pick.
true. That's
You
true.
pick what you want. You don't have Sandro anymore, so we're
It's a
gonna
good
give you the
point. That's a
Shilio.
good point. That's a good point. And then just to roll out the Bologna predicted 11, obviously Lucas Skorupski is the goaltender, the goalkeeper. Takahiro Tomiyasu is obviously their right back. Larangera, Denswell, and Dykes round out the defense pairing. For their central defensive midfielders, they have obviously they're going to play a 4-2-3-1, excuse me, and then they have Gary Medel and Andrea Poli as their two CDMs. In the three up top there, Roberto Soriano, Musa Barro, and Riccardo Orsolini.
Yeah.
So that's pretty dangerous. And Rodrigo Palacio as the top striker there. So that seems pretty similar, I think, what they use in Germany. Yeah, he's a Merda former, so we can't let him score, or else that's embarrassing for us. But yeah, no, it's definitely interesting how this is gonna line up. I think right now it's not necessarily make or break, but like I've always been saying in these podcasts, it is pretty important to get off on the right foot, and it doesn't seem like we have. You know, you want to keep rolling, and instead of just keeping the wheels moving on the tracks, it almost seems like we're stuck on the tracks before we go off the edge where the tracks have fallen out. So
Yeah.
yeah, what are your kind of the keys to this game, the key matchups? Obviously, I think it's pretty straightforward, but let's hear your opinion on what do you think our key matchup is tomorrow on Monday to play Bologna.
Well, Bologna, their style is they like to pressure a lot. They go into like the other, the opposing mid, and they pressure from there. They have very young guys, very talented guys, fast, who like to pressure and then steal the ball and try to score.
Right.
They're not great on counters, but again, we know like against Juventus, you never see that because they're always like sitting in the back, right?
Yeah.
And they're not great also on the wings. But again, we don't have anyone who's good on the wings, so
not that we've seen lately, at least.
yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be a really tough game. For me, it's like either a draw or like we're gonna win by 1 goal.
That's exactly it. So yeah, if you listen to the last podcast with Roman and Graham, they had right before we cut off, they wanted to give predictions. So I was like a 1-0 PK 90th minute Ronaldo goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I think Roman said PK, but I was like Ronaldo goal 90th minute, and so it was pretty funny. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just don't have faith. So hopefully, just the low expectation, because it seems like I've been just so. I think a lot of people have been really wrong on their predictions so far. I don't think anyone expected 0-0 and 0-0. You know, I was listening to Al's podcast, and I think it was like 5 years ago we haven't had 2 games with a goal, or longer than that, or was it 05? I want to say 2005 was the last time we had 2 games in a row with 0 without scoring a goal in either match. So that's crazy. I mean, especially with the firepower we have up top, there's no excuses, right?
Well, I'm worried about something that I think it was Monblano who touched that subject a few hours ago.
Yeah.
Sarri should not lose the locker room. If he does like he did with Chelsea, it's gonna go really bad this season.
Yeah.
Extremely bad. And he's not a great motivator. He wants things done, and that's it. Like, just listen to him.
Yeah.
So just don't argue. And well, uh, I'm worried because Pjanic is not motivated at all. He's like zero motivation. He's out of it. I
Yeah.
think with all the rumors and like the fact that Sarri pointed him out like just before the Coppa, saying that okay, he's been doing like a crappy job for like 5 games,
Yeah.
and someone at
And
his
he
level,
doesn't change. Yeah.
yeah, shouldn't be doing that. So that must have like hitting hard Pjanic. And there is a
Yeah.
problem because like we have no choice but to play Pjanic right now.
Yeah, exactly. Because Ramsey's not fit, right? And I think that's the change you make, right?
Yeah, and
Is you
Khedira's not fit because like you could have played Matuidi, Bentancur, Khedira.
see, but even Kadira, I just his legs, I think, are gone.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I think mentally he knows where to make the run. Like he was almost on the end of two balls by Ronaldo, I believe it was in the Milan game when he came on towards the end. But it's just he doesn't have the legs to get to when he's in the box. He made the right run, but it was like he didn't get to two of them, and they would have been pretty good chances. But it's just like that's kind of how it's gonna be, right? Like I
yeah,
said, we're on this track and we can't get off. So,
yeah.
but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, hopefully Ramsey needs to get fit because I wouldn't necessarily mind a Matuidi, Bentancur, Ramsey midfield. I mean, it's not great, but it's not the worst per
Well,
se.
Ramsey gets injured too a lot, so
Wow, that's the thing, right?
yeah,
But if let's say, I mean, well, knock on wood, Douglas Costa hasn't got injured so far yet either. So this is probably the longest streak he's on right now. So
yeah,
let's everyone pray that Douglas Costa stays fit for the rest of these games
for sure.
because it's just the piles seem to the problems keep piling up. It seems if that's gonna happen, but especially
And
with two
that's
players down now, not even
like
starting.
I've been reading before we started all that. Everyone was saying, "Oh, like Juventus, they have two teams. They're gonna win for sure. Like those 5 subs is gonna benefit Juve a lot." And
Doesn't
guys,
seem
like
like it.
look at our team. Like they're all injured. We have no one. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it definitely does not seem like it. You know, like many people have said before on this pod, we got bodies, but we don't necessarily have the depth, if you want to call it that. It's just more
Exactly.
of guys you can throw out there and to say, go do whatever you want, Bernardeschi, make good runs, and then almost give up the ball and let them score. But yeah, I think I don't know. Let's just hope for the best, I guess. Like we
Yeah.
really need to. I think almost will this team on because
Yeah.
like really I think I don't know and there's not having any fans. Obviously we're on the road technically speaking tomorrow, but not having any fans, I think just really what can they do? There's nothing really pushing them at all. Like even yeah, it's crazy the predicament we're in, and to be this far in winning this many scudetti in a row
Yeah.
and being at this level and having to experience this just seems like the plateau that I feel we've been on for the past 2 years is just falling out from under us, and we're
Yeah.
just dropping. We hit the top of the roller coaster. It almost seems like, and now it's time. Like it's crazy to have a club of this caliber with the management decisions that they've made. And you look at the bench, like you said exactly. People are saying, "Oh, the second team would be second place in Serie A if they had their own team." And it's like I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Maybe not with Sarri as coach, but yeah, I like what it's come down to. And again, it's still early. I don't want to like be the guy who jumps the horse, so to speak. But it's troubling signs. But I think there's definitely room for the team. I mean, let's say guys start making runs, right, and players start, making good decisions in the passing. I mean, there's possibility for this all to go away, and getting some win. Obviously, getting some wins changes the tune of the media and also the fans. So that's really what they need to do, right? So,
So
but anyways, we're gonna wrap this one up, and guys, let's enjoy that. I know there's gonna be a live stream for anyone who's in the YYZ Bianconeri after the game, and I just want to say, yeah, show up. I think I'm gonna make an appearance because obviously I'm out in Calgary, so I don't get to go to the events even when they had them before obviously COVID. So make an appearance, say hi to the crew there. A good bunch of the top brass is pretty good to get along with, and there's a lot of great members as well. But before we go, just the final segment that I've kind of been doing since the beginning. Obviously, some people haven't been to the stadium, some people have, but Mohamed, let's hear your allo stadio moment, or a Torino. Let's hear,
yeah,
bring back the nostalgia. Let's leave on a positive note,
sure.
and keep our smiles on our faces.
Yeah, definitely. It was in 2009. I was doing my master's back then. My father went to a conference in Milan,
Okay.
and I was in Montreal, and he's like, "Do you wanna come? Like, we're gonna
Meet
have
up.
a hotel and stuff like that, a hotel room." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's go." And we went. I was super excited, and I just learned Italian because like during my masters, I was trying to follow Juventus, but we didn't. Twitter was not
Right.
there yet, right? So
Exactly.
we only had, I think, Football Italia or something like that, and that's it. Like, but I tried to read Tutto Juve and all the stuff, and I could understand. So I said, okay, I'm gonna learn Italian, and I
Awesome.
took some courses, and off we go. I went to Milan first. I didn't like the city, but anyways. Took the train with my father, went to Torino. We went there, we asked around, okay, so where's the stadium and this and that. Fine, let's go. We bought tickets, and it was Juve-Bologna, and Del Piero was playing. I was like,
What are the odds?
yeah, it was amazing. And I think we won 4-1 or 4-2, something like that. I can't remember exactly. But Del Piero scored 2 goals and Giovinco scored 1. And oh man, I was jumping. It was crazy. I loved it.
So how was the Olympico? Because obviously it was a lot different than, it technically wasn't necessarily our stadium, right? Because
Yeah.
of various reasons, and if you look back why we moved. But so yeah, how was the atmosphere? I mean, obviously we look at our stadium now and it's so magnificent, right? Even when I went, I heard Roman was talking to say when you walk into that stadium
Yeah.
and you kind of see the window of where the row, or obviously when you walk into where the seats are, it's pretty spectacular view, right? So obviously there has been a lot of talk though about the Curva Sud, right, and
Yeah.
their involvement, and how was it in the Olympico
It
compared to
was
obviously today?
so it wasn't packed, although Olympico is like 25, I think, thousand.
Yeah,
I was surprised it wasn't packed. Okay, back then Juventus was not doing great at all. I think we
exactly.
finished 7th that season.
Those are the rough years.
Yes. But I was still surprised. You had the Curva Sud, they didn't stop cheering all the time. I was not in the Curva,
Yeah,
but I was surprised that, like, other than the Curva, everywhere else is quiet. And I was not happy about it. I was actually like jumping and trying to follow the Curva and
yeah.
stuff like that. And people were looking at me like weird, and Like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird in the other sectors because I noticed the same thing. Obviously, the two ends were more vocal than they were because it was 4 years ago when I went for the first time,
Mhm.
the only time. But yeah, it definitely was noisy. I mean, definitely a lot different from what you hear on TV. Even let's say the end of last year.
Yeah.
Um, Barring really the Atletico game, it's been kind of a library, if you want to say. Um, but which I know a lot of people have talked about, but hopefully the club rectifies that. I don't know if they will, just because of what has happened, and the club becoming a brand and people's
Yeah.
different opinion on that. But yeah, so was it more of just like a weekend then
Yeah.
in Turin?
Yeah. So I went there, I think 3 days. So we went to watch the game and then we went back to Milan. The next day, Inter was playing against Fiorentina.
Oh,
And
so
I'm
you went to
like, okay, I'm not gonna go. My father's like, come on, like, we're here. Let's go see the San Siro and all that. I'm like,
yeah.
fine, let's go. And Ibrahimovic was playing. I was like insulting him and all this stuff, and like. But my father was like, "Shut up, or we're gonna go," because like we're surrounded by Inter fans, right?
Yeah, you got to be careful in Italy,
Yeah.
guys. That's for sure.
But I saw like a couple of Fiorentina fans. They didn't care. They were just in the middle of the Inter fans, and they were like just cheering and yelling and all this stuff. And they were girls too, so it was great. I loved it. But again, Inter won. I think it was Ibrahimovic. He scored a free kick, and Balotelli scored too. Balotelli was still like new.
Yeah.
He was, I think 19 or something like that.
And is that kind of like how have you been back since then, or?
No, well, what I did is after that, I think on Monday I went back by myself to Torino, and I started going around. I went to the Egyptian Museum, obviously.
I was gonna ask you. That was the next thing I was gonna ask you.
I had to
How
go
was
there.
that? Yeah, exactly.
I love sightseeing, so I
Me
really
too.
liked a lot like Torino compared with Milan. Milan, I found that okay, you have Il Duomo there, you have a castle,
Yep.
and that's it. Like the rest is all about like being fancy and all like business and stuff like that. And
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, fine, whatever.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more people there too. I
Yeah,
find it's way more packed, and that's what I found that was nice about Torino is even though there are a lot of tourists that go there, but it was definitely nice to walk around, and there was no real lines to get into anything either. So, but yeah, no, that Egyptian museum is unbelievable. I've never been to Egypt, or I think the other one, the next biggest one, is in London, I believe.
yeah,
I don't know if that's correct or not.
yeah. National Museum.
But yeah, it was spectacular. I love history, right? I love the
Yeah,
Romans. I love, even the Greek history, the Egyptian history. It's awesome to see that kind of stuff because where I'm from in Calgary, the our history is about 100 years. So, well, I mean,
I've been to Calgary.
obviously, I'm Italian, but like this city history is about 100 years. So I'm usually make fun of ourselves and be like, yeah, we don't really have any history here. They try and stop things from being torn down, and it's like just make it modern, guys. Like we got cowboys, we got
Yeah,
farms, like just make it all new. We got no history here.
you have great steaks.
We got great steaks, guys. If you guys ever come down, we'll definitely show you around. If you're ever in Calgary, send me a DM. But yeah, and then so you haven't been back to Torino ever since that trip,
No,
or
no, I haven't.
yeah, I know a lot of people have been looking, obviously, this year to go, but a lot of people have been talking to have been like, yeah, I wanted to go this year for my first time or my second time or to go see the Champions League, and it's just so unfortunate. But no, that was an unbelievable story. You
Oh,
know, you get to go see, as the first time, right?
oh yeah.
It's
Seeing
so
Del
new.
Piero for me and Buffon, like I remember Buffon was like just hanging out there waiting for the ball to come, and I was yelling Gigi, Gigi,
Yeah.
and I think I have a video of it, but I need to find. And he's like, he started like
Yeah.
waving, like what's up and all that stuff. So I
Oh
got
yeah,
so
man.
excited. Yeah, that was amazing. I loved it. And the best part was me walking around in Milan with Del Piero, Juventus shirt with Del
Yeah.
Piero on, and then asking around where I could buy more Juventus stuff, and people were not very happy about it.
I don't think they had the store back then, did they?
No, no,
In
no,
Milan yet? No, yeah, because
no. They
I
only
have
had one in Turin.
I have been to that one in Milan as well. It's a little bit smaller, but yeah, it's a newer. I think it's only a few years old. I think,
Yeah,
but or well, maybe no, it's actually long, maybe 4 or 5 years now. Time flies. I just remembered how long ago it's been since I've been to Torino. But yeah, no, some people say be careful. I never had a problem though.
yeah,
Uh, some people say I know Maurizio's like, well, be careful even in Torino because obviously the Torino fans, right? But
yeah.
I've never had a problem. I don't know. I think it's just make sure you're in the decent areas, and I think people are pretty nice. And
Yeah, for sure.
when they see fans, I think it's even for some people that live there are surprised so many people come from all over the place.
Yeah.
It's great to see and great memories and great bonds, obviously, with the groups that are obviously here now. Uh, for me, that's what the nice part of being able to go there was, meeting all these other fans from around the world, Indonesia, Estonia,
Yeah.
Cyprus. So it was pretty cool, and that's why I can't wait to go back and maybe schedule some kind of trip for all these fans. Something with all these different creators and obviously anyone else who wants to go. That would be really a lot of fun. But we got to get back to normal first. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so I appreciate you coming on, Mohammed, on the short notice. Really helped me out. And it's actually I was laughing because it's quite funny that the first game you went to was a Bologna game, and obviously we're previewing the Bologna game. So it's
Exactly.
sometimes it just works. It works out. But just some closing remarks, guys. As always, at Juventinita, DAL. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, obviously on YouTube and iTunes and Spotify. Again, smash the like, subscribe, leave ratings, leave comments. That always helps me out. Obviously, if you haven't joined the Discord group, it's in the description. If you haven't joined the WhatsApp group, it's in the description. Make sure to check those out. Some great fans in there. Obviously, a lot of them that have come on, and I thank them again for doing so. It helped me out a lot. We heard some great stories so far. We're hoping to see more great stories, obviously after this, and Albert is going to be joining me finally. We're going to get it worked out to do the post game, so that's going to be awesome. That's going to be fun. And yeah, just stay tuned to Twitter. I'll have this posted on there, which I usually do, and it'll have all the links. So it should be easy for you guys, or I'll hit the WhatsApp group in the Discord. So, yeah, we'll have another great Juve fan on. Stay tuned. And as always, fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao.
So,